I just want to welcome everybody to the most indebted nation in the Western world, that's Ireland. And I want to just make a comment that yesterday was an extremely busy day with the shenanigans that was going on the economic front. What happened was, the main story was an article which appeared in the Irish Times, which was signed by 46 of our leading economists here in the country. I think 10 of them were professors. And really what it was a rebuke to the government, to specifically Brian Lenihan as the Minister of Finance, regarding the development of this NAMA project. And it was initiated by a man called Professor Brian Lucy. Now, I don't know who Professor Lucy is, except that I think he's in charge of the business studies program in Trinity College faculty. They're down there in Trinity College, and he would be I haven't looked up his bio. I don't know really what his background is, but obviously he's a man of some integrity, because his whole profession has been brought into disrepute with the situation we find ourselves in Ireland. And obviously he decided, for whatever reason, that he wanted to do something about it. And he sent a letter to 250, mind you, of his colleagues. 250 of his colleagues. And 46 or 47 of them answered and agreed with, I presume they were just basic principles, saying that there are alternative methods to deal with this banking crisis that we're in, rather than setting up NAMA, which is a transference of a private debt to public. 50 letters sent out, and 47 replies, ticking the boxes and saying that they agreed with this man, Professor Lucy, Brian Lucy, in what he was saying. And what I find is truly extraordinary, that the percentage of, out of 250, that's less than 20%. That's 80% of these economists agree with this NAMA project. They either agree with it or they're ambivalent and they don't give a shite. What happens to our little country? Well, I do. And the bottom line about it is, I wouldn't be wasting my time and asking people like you on YouTube to listen to these diatribes that I have to come off with to try and import just simple things called logic and common sense. And the logic and the common sense of the situation tells me, as an ordinary man in the street, that this NAMA thing is a total rip-off for a start, and, excuse my language, and that we have been visited by something which, from an ethical, a moral, or any other point of view, is just totally up the left. It has got nothing to do with Joe Citizen. This is a private matter to do with the banks, and they should take the biggest hit. Now, we have the flip side of the coin with Fine Gael, who are throwing out a line talking about a good bank. And the good bank idea, I cannot understand in my life why so many people object to this notion. And first of all, I'm not a Fine Gael supporter. I've nothing to do with any politics or any political party. And by the way, somebody else raised this. I'm not a Sinn Féiner. Just so that you know where I'm coming from. Okay? I'm a Democrat and I'm a constitutionalist. And I certainly am not a Sinn Féiner. Okay? But I just want to make the point. I don't know why so many people have this anathema about the concept of a good bank. That the state should fund an alternative bank. And they could do it tomorrow morning. They're talking about borrowing 90 billion for a NAMA project, which is going to put a load of money into toxic liabilities called property. Are you receiving me? The property market in Ireland is dead for the next generation. Forget about NAMAs. Forget about putting our money, the people's money, into property to try and reflate a bubble. The bubble has burst. It is gone. We're now back to 1980-85 levels of property in this country. We've gone back in 18 months, 20 years. and we are not going there again. If you stick your hand into the fire, your fingers into the fire, what do you do 5 minutes later? Do you stick them back in again? I don't think so. Anyway, I've really got to talk. The main thing that I want to talk about is I want to talk about this man who is Brian Lenihan's economic advisor, a man called Dr. Alan Ahern. And I want to read from his own bio. This is from his own biography that he's put up on the internet. And this man is 42. I post a little photograph up there for you so you can have a look at him. But this man is 42, and it tells you here that he's I think he came back to Ireland. He's obviously a citizen of the Republic. It says here he joined Galway, the University of Galway, in 2005. Prior to that, you have to listen to this. This is serious head we're dealing with here. This is not some sort of a lightweight head. All right, this is a man who knows economics intimately. Just listen to what this man did. Before this man came to Ireland, this is Dr. Alan Ahern. He was a senior economist in the International Finance Division of the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System in Washington, D.C. He spent 7 years there. This guy knows how world economics work. In other words, he worked for the Federal Reserve, which is a group of private banks which determine the money supply for America. He worked for them. Alright? Tells you what he did. It says here, during his 7 years at the Federal Reserve Board, his duties included preparing notes for and presenting briefings to Chairman Alan Greenspan and other board members. So he was almost part of the inner circle. He probably didn't make board decisions, but he advised them about making board decisions. And all of a sudden, this guy's in Ireland. This guy arrived here in 2005. Now, he probably came here for personal reasons, but I find it just extraordinary. We get into the biggest load of shit that we've ever been in, economically. And all of a sudden, a key man who was once in the Federal Reserve is now at the side of Brian Lenihan. Now, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, or at least I don't think I am. But I just find it very, very strange. The other thing that I want to say is, in an earlier life, way before that, he worked for Bank of Ireland Group Treasury. I don't know how long he held, but they trade bonds. They're international bond traders. That's what they do for a living. That's what the Treasury means in a bank. They trade bank bonds. That's, to raise money for the bank. It's one of the ways they do it. And that's what he did. This guy is a heavy hitter. This guy is not here by accident. This guy is not at Brian Lenihan's side by accident. This guy has been put there not by friggin' Brian Lenihan, who knows shit all about economics. This guy's been put there by his American masters, who have got on to this muppet that we have running the show, Brian Cohen, another acolyte of the supreme muppet, Bertie Ahern, and has been told, I think it'd be a good idea to employ this man. And he's their man. He's there to protect American big banks' interests in Ireland. You must remember, we have the 6 or 7 banks that are in Ireland that borrowed all this money. Almost €1 trillion of this money is their money that they borrowed, and they borrowed, I'd say, the bulk of that from the American banking system. Anyway, I'm just telling you, this man is Nama. He is not. They are not going to let this Nama bone go. The only way this Nama bone can be let go is if we get rid of this government. Anyway, we talk more. Thank you very much.